Today I'm going to share with you my summer dewy glowy look. It's using mostly creams, but of course I will be using the loose mineral foundation because SPF of course is super important during the warmer weather. Now I have prepped my skin with our primer. You could use the brightening or the hydration plus depending on how dehydrated your skin is. And the first step I'm going to use today is using the cream highlighter. So what I'll do is pop a bit on my finger, and then I'm going to pop that all around my forehead, cheeks, and under eyes. It's great under the eyes if you're sunken in, as it will give the illusion that that area is not as hollow as it actually is. The luminescence to this will make things look bigger. So why I'm putting this on now is because when I put my loose minerals on, I want this highlighter to give a really nice dewy finish to my loose minerals, especially if you love that dewy looking glow. So again, you can pop this all over your eyes, your forehead, and your cheeks. You don't need to put it around your mouth area. You can if you want to. You could put it down your neck for a little bit of dewiness, up to you. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is pop the loose mineral foundation on, and then I'm going to get started with all of the beautiful dewy colors. You could actually just use this mineral highlighter, the cream, all by itself. You can see it's given a really nice dewy finish to the skin and a hint of coverage. Okay, so I'm using the loose minerals with the super popular kabuki brush. Now, when I applied the minerals, I have applied them over my eyes. We do need to put foundation around the eyes just so it gives a really nice even looking coverage. We don't want to look too pale. Of course, the foundation will also help with some discoloration. You can see the red psoriasis I had under my eye, that's even nearly been hidden just with the minerals on their own. Now, I did use a pushing, stippling motion to get a heavier coverage. And of course, I love to finish off with a little bit on my chest area. The sun does hit us here, so for me that is a super important area. If you find your neck is quite light, then of course pop some foundation down your neck. Why wouldn't you when you get that SPF protection anyway? Now, a little bit over the ears, behind the ears of course as well, because we can be a little bit white and pasty back there. And why not pop a little bit on the backs of your hands, especially if you're driving. Okay, now the SPF is 20 plus in that. You can see how beautiful and dewy and glowy my skin is, and all I've done is put the loose over the top of the cream highlighter. A winning combination, especially if you've got drier skin. All right, so now what we're going to do is moving on to concealing. But first, I want to show you our complexion blender. This is our complexion blender. It's a biodegradable material, which is fantastic for the environment, and it's a beautiful sponge if you like a really nice subtle look or a glow. You can use it for your concealers, you can use it for blush, cream blushes, of course, your contouring, any of the cream products, it works super well, even the liquid foundation. Now, the trick with this is to make sure that you use it damp. Now, when you make it damp, this is the size. It actually increases double the size. So it's really soft and bouncy. Of course, you just wash it with your normal hand soap and rinse it out and dry it when it's getting a little dirty, okay? Make sure these are stored in an area where they can get lots of air so that bacteria is not breeding in them, okay? So let's get started with concealing. Now, I'm going to show you how to use this complexion blender to do concealing, to also pop on your cream contour and your cream blush. So here's the concealer, beautiful cream consistency. Now you might want to use one of the brushes out of our 7-piece brush kit, or even our 15-piece brush kit to apply the concealers, or you might even like to use the complexion blender, okay? So this number 2 brush is a really good one for popping on your concealer. And we've also got a shorter one, which I don't have in front of me, but we'll just use this one here. Now, focusing on the inner part of the eye. So just this little C area here. I don't like to pop concealer too much in this area because we tend to smile, and this is where you get most of your creasing. And of course, your concealer will end up sitting or creasing in those areas. Now, this is usually where the dark area is, and even a little bit of redness maybe in this outer tear duct area. And you may also like to use a bit of the concealer for the eyelid area if you wanted to help neutralize veins and discoloration. And then of course we just need to set that down with the oil control setting powder. It's a really quick way of doing a nude eyeshadow as well. Making sure with your concealers that they match the skin tone perfectly. You can afford to go a little bit lighter around the eyes, not too much, but a little lighter. However, if you've got puffiness, you need to make sure that the concealer is an exact match, because a lighter concealer will make that puffiness look larger and more prominent. Okay, so I've placed the concealer in here and around my eyes on the outer ducts, but you can see that I've just blended it down and out into this area, but I did not place concealer there. Now, if you're needing a little bit more concealing on your face, then by all means, touch up the skin with a little bit of concealer. You might want to just dab a tiny little bit on. Again, making sure that the concealer is an exact match. You don't want to go too light, or it will make the pimples or the bumps look a little bit bigger. So a little bit lighter around the eyes, yes, but on the skin, we need that to be the exact match, especially if you're covering raised areas. If you're looking at something that's a bit more flat, it's not so obvious, but raised areas, definitely. Now, I also like to conceal the side of my nostrils as they're quite exposed, and we can be quite veiny in there. So we want this dewy summer beautiful look to look flawless. You might want to help just conceal some of the larger pores. Again, making sure that your concealer is a perfect match, not lighter at all. Often the lighter concealers or lighter foundation will make your large pores stand out, which we do not want. So it's absolutely imperative that you get the right shade of foundation and concealer for that reason. Okay, so here we go with a little bit of the fun. Now I'm going to use the cream contour stick just to give a little bit of warmth. Not so much to contour my face, but to give that warmth, that healthy look to the skin, rather than that flat one-dimensional look you can get with just a foundation. So I'm putting a little bit on my forehead area here. Okay, so this is our wind-up biodegradable contour stick. It's a super popular product, this one. Now, I'm going to actually use this as a little bit of a blush and contour in one. It's more of a bronzy color, this one. So yes, it contours, but it's quite warm, so it does give a good bronze as well. Now, if you've got more of a narrow face like me, the trick is to just keep in line with the top of your ear and pop it here. Okay, so again, top of the ear, just along here. Now, if you were to go down here, you're wanting to create more cheekbone, that's fine. You would just follow this area here, make this area darker, which makes this part of your cheekbone look bigger, okay? But if you've already got quite a drawn face like myself, or your face is quite thin, then move that up to the cheekbone area. So what that will do is it'll just give width to the face, and it will make the face look a little bit wider and less drawn. So popping it down here will make the cheekbone stand out. It'll give you obviously more structure, more cheekbones. Great if you've got a wider face, but for those of us with a thinner face, just move that up a little bit just here. Now, if you've got a really strong jawline, you could pop a little bit on the jaw as well. You could pop some on the side of the nose if you wanted to, but I'm just going to keep this really simple. It's all about healthy looking skin today. So all I'm using now is the back of the complexion blender. So this is the fatter end. Now, for concealing, if you wanted to blend, you could use this corner. So it just gets right into these areas here. So again, just going back over the concealer just to show you, using the pointy end, it's perfect for blending concealer, or, you know, the corners of the nose. So that's the corner, that tight end here. The fatter end is perfect for blending your contour, creams, cream foundation. And I'm just using a dabbing motion. And I'm blending, dabbing and blending up. So you can see a little bit goes a really long way, and that's just given such a nice bit of warmth to the skin without having that one-dimensional look, as I mentioned before. Again, I'm blending, I'm dabbing, and I'm blending upwards into the hairline. If you've got blonde hair, you just want to be a little bit careful you don't take this into the hair. You don't want to stain your beautiful lighter colored hair. For those of us that are a bit darker, you of course can just blend away. But you might want to hold your hand like this if you've got fair hair, just to protect the hairs, and blend this way. So just moving the hand along like that. Okay, perfect. That's so nice and dewy. Really happy with that. Now, you might just want to leave it there and do your eyes. That's completely fine, but I just like to have a little bit of colour on my cheeks that's different to, obviously, the bronzing. So for this, I'm going to use the gorgeous Summer Cream. It's so delicious. Now, you could, of course, use your complexion blender and just dab it in like that, which is exactly what I'm going to do. You may have one of our blush brushes. You could also use a blush brush as well, just pinching it, rolling it around like that and applying it. And of course you can just use your fingers and dab them on the apples of the cheeks. So I'm going to use the complexion blender for this. If you do love using a complexion blender, you might find that 2 is better than 1. So 1 you can use for your skin tone colors, so your foundations, contours possibly, or foundations and concealers, and then you might want to use a second one for your color, so blush, etc. Now I like to pop my blush right up, blending it right up into the temple area because it gives it just a natural facelift. And of course you can use the tip if you're wanting to just not add more colour but blend away underneath if you've gone too far down. Okay, so that's the blush. Now, if you wanted to, you could put your illuminating palette out on now to get even more dewy, or you could use the loose highlighter, completely up to you. I'm going to give my eyebrows a little bit of a brush and get started on my eyes. Curling the lashes. Okay, and for the eyeshadow today, I'm going to be using the color Charity. Okay, so this is a really beautiful color. Just pick one of the flat brushes that you've got, and I'm going to apply this in a wash. Now, a wash just simply means color all over the eyelid, blended up onto the brow bone. So your more neutral colors or your lighter colors are really easy to use for this particular technique. Just get any excess, you don't need much on, and it's pressing it onto the skin. So not swiping it. Wiping it like this is just going to get the product everywhere. You want to deliver the product to the skin by pressing it on in quick motion like this. And then if you're wanting to blend, that's when you can use more of that sweeping motion. So I'm just doing a wash where I'm following it out to my brow, edge of my brow, just to give a nice lift to the eye. This Charity color is so divine. It's a really nice dark peachy salmon color. It's actually a really pretty lip color as well. You could pop it on your lips and then pop a gloss over the top. And it's also a gorgeous nail polish color. You just need to dip in a clear nail lacquer and apply it straight to the nails, and it's gorgeous. Okay, quick check, I've applied that evenly. Perfect. Now, I always like to have the round dome brush, so you might want to look at one of these from the 15-piece brush kit. The biggest one is my preference, and I like to use that just to blend the top part of the blush into that brow bone area. So there's no actual defined line. I like it to be really nicely blended. Now, a little tip, if you do suffer from concealer moving or your mascara smudging or eyeliner, just grab a little bit of the setting powder onto the same blending brush and apply it underneath the bottom lash line. This will help set your concealer. And I like to put it in the corners as well, as I get a little bit weepy. And that'll help lock that down. Now, if you do like the dewy look, but you prefer your T-zone to not be so dewy, prefer more of a matte finish, you could definitely use the setting powder over the top of your T-zone. That's completely fine. That'll help set that down. Okay, so now I'm going to pop on the lash primer. Okay, and now I'm popping on the Black Halo Lashes Mascara. Okay, so if you end up getting a little bit of makeup there, just grab a cotton tip. If you've got a bit of your mascara, just gently blend it outwards and you should be able to remove that pretty quickly. Your Dawn mascara is pretty easy to remove if you make a mistake like that on the skin. Perfect. So you can see by using the curler, the lash primer, it's really made a significant difference to the lift of the lash. Now I'm just putting a little bit of mascara on the bottom lashes. You can, of course, skip that step altogether. If you do find mascara smudges for you, maybe opt for the waterproof mascara, or instead of putting mascara at the bottom, use a loose mineral eyeshadow or a brow dust instead to get that definition. Okay, so here's some of the fun. This is the beautiful new coral lip liner. Okay, so I'm popping that on, and then the gorgeous Briony Brights lipstick. So here we go. A little tip is using your chin just to balance your little finger on. And just make sure that you've got the same height. You can always adjust if you've got a flatter side of the lip with the lip liner. Now I've got a natural white sort of line around my lip line, and so I tend to put the lip liner onto that just to give a little bit of extra pout, but not apply too much. Now you could lip line your whole mouth if you really wanted to, but the Brights by Briony lipsticks do stay on for quite a long time, and I don't feel that I need to do that. So here's the gorgeous Brights by Briony. It's a super rich looking bright coral, which I love. Absolutely perfect. Now, if you wanted to even ramp this up even more, you could put one of the glosses over the top or our Soothing Barrier Balm to make it really plump looking. I'm going to finish off with a little bit of a spritz of rose water. Beautiful, just for that extra dewiness. And there you have my summer glowy, dewy, healthy looking look. But it also is protecting my skin because I've got the SPF 20 plus on, so I know that my skin's getting protection as well as looking super gorgeous.